Hello makers, how are you going this week? I know you cannot answer, but you can answer me in Twitter if you want. So this week I'm sharing a bit about my last things happening in my project, and many things happen, and not only good. I've started the last previous week with a big issue, I did ask to Supabase, my database backend provider, to do an update on the database to move to Postgre 14 to 15. And they say, yeah, of course we can do it. What time? So I say Sunday during night because it's better for my users. And they say, yeah, no worry. You will take between 1 and 2 hours, and then you're good. So I say, okay, fine. Since it's during night time, it will be okay. It will be okay. Mark, stop to spam me. So I set up this, and it was kind of during the night time for me. So I watched a bit what's the progress. They told me they start the work. So it seems very good. And then after 5 minutes, they told me it's done. I was a bit surprised. Honestly, because they told me it will take between 1 and 2 hours, and in 5 minutes it was done. But I was like, okay, they are better than I expect. Perfect. And I went to bed. That was the mistake. I didn't check myself to see if it was working, since they send me an email at every step, like when they start, when it will end, and everything. It was looking so professional that I give my full trust. And then the day after, when I woke up, nothing was working, obviously. And then it was the time where the team of Supabase sleep. So for 12 hours, I didn't have any answer for them. And I was trying to fix my database because the database was up, but few things were missing. So I was not understanding it right. So I tried to fix some rights. I spent the day trying to fix a database issue without understanding even them, until they answer back and told me, the change you did, the migration we did was not successful because your database was very old, so something was missing into it. And then when we did the transfer, we didn't transfer the right size. We didn't prepare the right size of the new database, so the new copy failed, and it was a silent fail. So that's why they say everything was working well, while most of things were not transferred. So yeah, amazing. I was like, okay, what we do? And they say, oh, we can shut down everything, take back your backup again, and start it up. And they say you're gonna lose the data of today. I was, yeah, there are no data today because nothing was working. So whatever. So that's take us half an hour, I think, to manage to fix that. And I was relieved. I think, yeah, I miss something in the timeline. So next week will be an episode of podcast released, and during the weekend before this Sunday, I went to visit Mark, the maker on Twitter I make friendship with, and he will be the next podcast guest. He's already recorded. So I went with him to help him to build his app on Capacitor, and to surf a bit and to enjoy Bali a bit before leaving. So the point was I wanted to help him because I truly believe a lot of makers could benefit from making Capacitor apps where you don't have to change nothing. You just build your app in static mode for him in Next.js. And then you have a base you can work with. Mark needed only 3 things. The login from Apple was necessary because he has the Google login. The payment platform native, because it's mandatory to have payment native. You cannot have web payment into a mobile app if you pay for the app usage. And the last thing was yeah, a bit hiding few things, like tricking few things, like you cannot talk about Android into an iOS app in the FAQ, for example, things like that. So I help him and guide him to understand Xcode and Visual Studio Code, and I think I will do that more to help makers, because he share a lot about that, and that's make a lot of marketing for myself and my project. And on the other side, that's very cool. I have made a friend, and I've enjoyed this time. So I really enjoy that. And while I was with him, I also work a bit on my project and do a few things was very necessary. One of the biggest one was I did the migration to R2 Cloudflare instead of Supabase. So my whole storage system was, and it's still in Supabase, but all the client of my client were getting the update from Supabase, and Supabase do the storage in S3 of Amazon. So in S3 we pay egress, and that was my most consumption things and most costly things in my project Capgo was the egress. Last month I had 300 euro of egress, so it's a lot, and I was like not really liking that, because it's like more my client has clients, more this cost will grow, and there are no catching system, it seems. So I didn't understand why that was so big. I tried to contact Supabase, and they say no, that's normal. So I decided to have a look on R2, and I did the integration in 2 hours, I think. So now in production, the Capgo the next update you send to Capgo now are stored in R2, and I made basically in the bundle database table in thank you. So in the bundle database table, I will finally do it. Let's do it again. In the bundle table, I have all the bundle of all users, and it was a link to the storage into S3 of Supabase, and I add a new column where I say storage type, it's Supabase or R2, and when it's R2, then you use the API or R2 to get the data. So I did that, and I did the switch, and since then I have 0 egress since 22 something, even less than that. But yeah, so I have 0 egress now, and I will put my 300 euro cost to 0. So I will just pay my database, which is less than 100 euro. So that's amazing, because this is way more scalable than the other side of the storage egress, which was like very costly. So I have contact also Supabase to ask if they're gonna do in the future like free egress, and they think yes, but it's not ready yet. So let's see in the future if I still need R2 or not. But it was a big point to do that, to be able to grow without spending so much. Another things I did, which was amazing, and because I was with Mark, he explained me how to do that, is the pay-as-you-go pricing. I have the pay-as-you-go pricing, but I didn't have in my pay-as-you-go pricing, it was 499, and above the plan, you pay on the usage, like by units. And this on Supabase, on Stripe, I didn't understood how to make it work, so I didn't make it. And Mark was already did that for another project, so he showed me how he did, and then I was able to do that in a few hours. Also, I think 2 hours, something like that. So just by being with Mark, I have fixed 2 big things that give me the motivation, or all the tools, the knowledge. So it was amazing, and I'm super happy to have that. I'm ready to have more big clients. Speaking about big clients, I have started something I didn't share with you because I forgot. Beginning of January, I've started to do something to work with Rila. Rila she's a maker doing a cold contact agency. I don't know if it's the right name, but that's how I see it. So she has my Twitter account for the company and myself, and she has also some mailbox, and she's sending emails and cold DM in Twitter to get clients. So she's targeting people following Capacitor Twitter, basically. And for email, she don't have a clear target right now, so it's a bit complex to find the target, because we have to find people who have who use Capacitor as a big level. Because so the deal with her, each time she found me €4.99 by month client, and they start to pay, she got 200 one time. So the deal is very good. I think she could even do bigger, but for now we don't have much result, so let's stay like that. But in future it will probably get bigger to make her more like having a better deal, because that's very important for me, and I want her to continue to do that if it works. So that's something we did start, and for now there are no much results. I got some people downloading Capgo and register because of her, but no much paid client. Definitely for January I didn't got much paid client, I think, interestingly. So that scared me a bit, but I definitely think that's normal, and I will continue to grow in the future, because I didn't make big change in the business to have that happen. So I have to check more about the register flow and everything to see if all work correctly, but it seems okay for now, and let's see. So yeah, interesting point. I have coming back to the downtime. I discovered my downtime status page was totally broken. Like one page was saying everything is okay. I have a replicate between different service provider. So now I have 4, and one was saying everything is okay, while everything was down. So it doesn't make sense. So I've updated a bit the statue page system, and I've speak with Crisp, because I use the one in Crisp to have that working. And so now it's fixed. It took me a bit of time. I still have some issue weird, like every 10 minutes one service says down for a minute and then is back up. So I don't understand why he's saying that. I have to check. But yeah, right now I have this tiny little problem, and it's bloating my email box, so it's not fun, but at least I don't think it's really broken. So I have to check more on that. For me, monitoring is very important, especially for my client. Also, I give trust, but this has to work well, so it's not always easy to build something trustable, and you saw sometimes the system is not really reliable. So very important, but hard to manage to do. I did talk a lot, so I need a bit of drinks. I did. Since I have some difficulty to talk today, I'm sorry. So in Capgo, I have my own Capgo app built on Capgo, so I have the auto system working, but I have also a CI/CD working to build my app to iOS and Android and send it to iOS testing on TestFlight and Google Open Testing. And on iOS it was broken since, I don't know, 1 month something, because I had to, the things I configured for the CI breaks the local development, so I cannot develop anymore. And 1 month ago, I was needing to test the native platform, and for that, I had to break the CI system, so I didn't fix it. And now I have the CI working, so the native is not working anymore, the building in local. So I have to find a way to make Fastlane respect my dev environment and my CI. It's a bit complex task, and I will make an article about that, because like if you don't understand how to do that, then you have to pay Ionic or something to do it for you. So I prefer to, I think for my user it's important to have this as well. As for me, it's very nice to don't build myself the app anymore. I did a bit of marketing last week. I did 2 articles about. I have 1 article about live updates. It's allowed on Google, and do live updates are allowed. And I was thinking maybe I should niche each like to do 1 blog article by platform for Google and for Apple. So I used ChatGPT 3 to took my blog article generic and to make it only for Apple and only for Google. So it took me half an hour each, I think, for each article to release them, publish them, make an image, a nice image for them. So I did that, and I hope it will be like do something in the future for SEO. Right now for SEO, I'm not like I don't understand so much like keyword things. So I'm more like thinking what can be useful for my users, what they are gonna search, and that's how I build the article, but not based on some feedbacks. I have Ahref, and I should check it a bit more about how my blog performed, but for now I didn't watch it so much. Speaking about Rila back, the email things, I was not satisfied by the way she could find emails. So I was thinking like maybe we can do something differently. And I was thinking maybe I can find into an app, publish on the app stores if they use Capacitor or not. So I do some research on that, and I discover very interesting things. First, I discover an APK is a zip file. If you change .apk to .zip, then it's a zip, and you can double click to unzip it. And when you unzip it, you can find the capacitor config JSON into a capacitor app. So that make the first idea of do it's possible, yes. So how I can do it now, it was the hard question, because downloading an APK programmatically, it's a bit hard because from Google it's not allowed, obviously. You have to have an Android, so you have to fake an Android. So I was like, no, it's too much. And I was searching, and I find like there are some on Android. Hopefully, there are some mirror Google Play, and in this mirror, it's easier to kind of hack them to get the APK. So I find a way to download APK from them, from one of the mirror, and then make my unzip process and search for the file. So I made 2 functions because. So when I had that, it was amazing. Like, okay, now I can check on any app, almost, it has to be present on the mirror, if they use capacitor. Cool. How I do that at scale? Because one by one is not the point. So I decided to check more, and I find like there are some scrapper you can use to get the top X number of app on a category on the Play Store. So with that, I am feeding my database, and in my database, each time you add a new row of one app, I use the app ID to trigger the other function who download the APK, try to download the APK, and do the check if it's capacitor. Right now, it's barely working, but I still need to improve the way to search for apps. I want to find a way to list all the apps of the Google Play Store, because right now I'm limited to the 500 first apps. So it's not a lot, and my function to get the app IDs is still not working so well. So I have to find a way to scale that even bigger. For now, I have 200 apps in my database, and none of them use Capacitor because this is the top app, and not much top app most used in the world use Capacitor, of course, because usually when you become a top app, you have a big team, so you start to do native because it's more fancy and whatever. So yeah, didn't find any of them, so I have to continue on that. But which is cool, what I discovered was amazing is in the Google Play Store you have also the email of it's public, the email of developer, because it's for support or any other things like that. So I can use this email to, if I find the app is using Capacitor, to send it to Rila, and Rila can contact the people. So that's the amazing point. And also in the Capacitor file I can also see if they use my concurrent, the one of Ionic, if they use it or not. So I can know if I can avoid them or not to contact them, because my point is not to stall client for my concurrent, because if they pay my concurrents, it means they want some support and some care where I'm not giving that. So in the first place, I will avoid probably the Ionic client, and it will stay like that, because my point is try to be complementary with them, because at one point I want to be referenced as an alternative for them to Ionic. I hope they will do that one day and accept we are complementary, because they told me already that. So they just told me they wanted time to see if I am serious, and then maybe reference me in the website after. So I wish be able to do that. Other things I saw very interesting. Then I did this podcast in English. One of the reasons was because I cannot use the tool everyone used to promote his podcast. Like in French, we don't have Reddit, or barely not used, and Hacker News doesn't exist at all. So I was a bit sad about that, by doing in French and not having this kind of tool to share. And then I launched this podcast and forgot I can do it. So I have started to share my podcast on Reddit and Hacker News, and received some people find me and listen to me because of that. So that's very nice. And also I've started a community for this podcast on Telegram, and we are 10 now. So it starts also to work. It's in the description of the episode on YouTube and on any platform of the podcast you record. So you can join us if you are a solo maker and you want to share about what you're doing. Join us. I really like this kind of things. I had a community for indie makers in French where we were 400 something, and it was very, very cool. So I tried to do that. Before it was in Discord, and I felt Discord was not the right place, so maybe Telegram will be better. Let's see in the future. Oh yeah, something I did was very interesting. So in Capgo, I tried to fix all the support requests by designing the project better. And one thing, it's recurrent problem. It's people have big bundle because they don't compress the image or anything. They don't optimize because they were thinking it was a mobile app, so they don't care. It's not each time sent by the network. But now, since you do update, optimizing assets is important. So most of users has a big, when they have a big app, they have a very not good amount of people downloading, finishing the download of the app. They crash the app before, so he has a lot of retry, and that's costly. So that costs also them a lot. So I put a message in the CLI when you upload, when your app is more than 15 megabytes, it sends you a warning, say your app is big, But it was not much clear, why this is important. So now I made it a bit more clear, and I made a blog article about how to optimize asset from JPG, PNG to WebP. I made it with ChatGPT again. And so now this article is linked each time you upload a too big app. So the optimization will lead people to learn how to optimize their asset and maybe do it less and less. I am monitoring how many on Logsnag, how many people upload too big apps, and this is getting lower over time. So I think it will at one point be not anymore. Like, I hope with this move. I have something to celebrate. Like, I have an awesome list of capacitor, and the awesome list passed the 10K visit on it. So that's huge. Like, that's very huge. And this have lead me a lot of traffic. So this is the main source of traffic of Capgo. It's the awesome list. So that's very cool. I'm so happy to have done that even before I'm doing the project. It's, like people say, start marketing before your project even exists. So I didn't know my project will exist, and I started this kind of marketing channel. So very, very funny. After that, I have other tiny things I have started to do. Like 2 days ago, I started to try to remove Ionic from my app. My app is built with Capacitor. Capacitor makes the native runtime, but Ionic was for the design element. But since a long time, I use Tailwind, and mixing them doesn't work well, especially when Ionic use Shadow DOM everywhere, so you cannot customize as you want the fucking element, which is super annoying, and I dislike them for this choice. This is, for me, the worst choice they ever made on this. So since then, I was a bit frustrated by that, and at one point I discovered someone made a Tailwind, I don't know how to say that, UI library for mobile, Consta UI. So I'm switching to that for mobile size, and on the desktop size I am using Daisy UI for most of Element to have more look like a desktop, because right now all my components were Ionic, so on desktop it looked very shitty, and I got some feedback from users look shitty, so I am switching from that. Another good news, I got a freelancing mission. I'm doing freelancing to help people switching from Cordova to Capacitor, or making plugin for them in Capacitor, or even fixing the app when it doesn't work. And I got a new client lately to help him to do the CI/CD in Capacitor. He just switched from Cordova to Capacitor, and his CI/CD doesn't work anymore, so he needs my help. So I'm currently doing that, and yeah, that's basically my last things. Personally, on my side, this week is the last week of me being in Bali. After, next Monday, I will be in India for a week, and then in Turkey. So I will use this time as vacation time, because I didn't have vacation since years. So I will try to just answer support requests, but not coding much. Even I will feel like I am dying by not coding. But yeah, that's something I will do to rest a bit and get back stronger, because that's something very important, and we forgot often to do. It's take a time for self. My partner / girlfriend teach me that a lot, because she's very good at doing that, but I still need some practice, let's say. So that's what I'm going to do the 2 next weeks. Podcast will still be a release. I am recording one tomorrow, with a new maker, and next week will be released the one with Mark. So I believe that will allow you to still enjoy this podcast. Again, if you have any feedback of what I'm doing, for example, last week someone told me like you were getting too deep in technical stuff, so you lost me. That's important to tell me. I try to improve that and to report what I am doing and try to make it valuable for you, not for me. That is not the point. The point is share and help other makers to achieve what they're doing. So feel free to share. Contact me on Twitter, DM me. I'm very easy to be available. In the description also of the podcast, I will put my website where you can contact me directly on Telegram, which is better because my Twitter is a bit bloated by cold DM. So yeah, I hope you have a great day. You did enjoy this podcast, and see you next week. Bye.